What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to the channel. It's February, which means we are one step closer to the Oscars. Today, I'm going to run through my current set of predictions. They have been changing every single month. This is my current update, and thankfully, we can now include things like the Critics' Choice, the Golden Globes, the SAG Awards nominations within these predictions. And again, it's a predictions video. These are not the movies I want to see nominated. We may save that for a different day. I'm thinking about doing my own little Oscar ceremony, if you will. If you guys enjoy this series, these updates, be sure to drop your thumbs up and let me know. What would you like to see nominated this year? Instead of my normal 3 locks, I am expanding my list to 5 locks. That means we're doing all of predictions for most of the categories. I've left out 1 or 2, obviously. So international feature. I'm going to start with the movie that I believe is most likely to win this award. And right now, and we'll see how it progresses, I think another round, not only because it's tied for my favorite movie of last year, but because I truly believe it is on the verge, on track of winning this award. Now, the other inclusions I have are from Guatemala, La Llorona, Two of Us from France. We have a movie by the name of Collective from Romania, and then Dear Comrades from Russia. Another round is, of course, from Denmark. So those are the films right now I see as a possibility of getting in. I'm very confident in at least the first 3. The other 2, it really could go either way. International feature is a tough one, especially because all of the movies on the short list I have not seen, but these are the ones that right now, the buzz, I'm feeling the most confident about, but you can mark down another round right now to win that award. Let's move into our next one, and this time we have makeup and hairstyling. First time I've talked about it. My 5 that I'm choosing, I'm going to start with Hillbilly Elegy. I just believe when you look at a few of these surprise, not only nominations, but Glenn Close's character and what they managed to do with her, and I feel as if a lot of voters, maybe not critics, and obviously certain audience members weren't in love with this movie, but voters, when they look at makeup and hairstyling, they're going to see a movie like Hillbilly Elegy and kind of elevate that to the top. I'm also really confident in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Emma, Mank. The one that I'm not as confident about, but I believe has a good chance of getting in, is a movie by the name of Jingle Jangle, because Jingle Jangle has not only been slipping in the shortlist here, but I look at the makeup and hairstyling in this movie, and it's really impressive, as well as the costume design. I don't quite think it gets in there, but Jingle Jangle is like my surprise nomination in this category. But again, they don't always choose 5. These are just 5 locks. I'm going to keep that consistent with every category. The next one is costume design. I am throwing Ma Rainey's Black Bottom at the top here. I believe it could honestly take both makeup and hairstyling and costumes, but something tells me it won't do that, so I'm much more confident in the costumes. You have Emma in that second spot. It's been racking up nominations across the board. I have to put Mank in there because of the period piece aspect. Mulan is a bit of a surprise for some, but when you actually look at the costume design, it's great. And then a film that's been kind of slipping its way into a lot of these different nominations is The Personal History of David Copperfield, and you look at what the category is, costume design, absolutely, in my opinion. So, again, both of these categories are very up in the air, and I could be dead wrong on a lot of them. Not all 5 will make every category, but right now, I'm pretty confident in these picks. Then we have production design, and I just believe Mank is going to take this home. It is incredible, but not only that, it's also like in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, and people vote, and they're going to be like, ooh, I'm familiar with this, but the production design is genuinely great. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom also has a really good shot. The Personal History of David Copperfield, I'm throwing that on here just because I think you look at the film, and from costumes to production design, it kind of screams that for me. News of the World, I may be a little less confident in, but I still think it gets in. Emma, I'm the least confident in. There are like 3 or 4 other movies that could easily take that 5th spot, but Emma has been doing a great job of picking up these nominations at these other award shows, so I'm going to throw Emma on there. It's a dart. We're going to see what happens. I'm not really good at that game. Documentary, you've seen this flip-flop so many times when I keep coming back to this, but right now, Dick Johnson is Dead is at the top of my list, only because Boy State has not really been impressing me when we look at the different documentary nominations at some of the other awards. So because Dick Johnson is Dead is so well beloved, myself included, I'm actually going to say that's my winner right now, but we'll just have to see. I also believe All In, The Fight for Democracy gets in. Time is a film that has been talked about quite a bit. The Truffle Hunters, there's so much marketing from that studio, right? I'm not completely confident that it gets on. This fifth spot is really up in the air. But the Truffle Hunters, I just think that marketing push is going to get it. It obviously has to be good, but I have received multiple things for the Truffle Hunters. Again, these are predictions, less so what I would like to be on this list, but score is one that I'm actually really happy with when it comes to the top two, maybe top three choices. Soul and Tenet are the best scores of the year, in my opinion. Far and away, like, mark it down. I think they both get nominated. A huge snub would be Tenet, but one that I actually could possibly see happening because of the way that the Oscars go sometimes. But I definitely think Mank gets on there as well. I'm less so confident in The Midnight Sky and News of the World. There are a few movies that could come in there. I personally would like to see Minari get in that fifth spot over News of the World, really over The Midnight Sky. I think the score for Minari is better than both of those films, but part of me thinks because of, obviously, the names behind News of the World and The Midnight Sky, especially The Midnight Sky, I think that will push it over, and you have these grand, more epic movies. Minari is a bit more subtle, so those are my five. Pretty confident, but not necessarily that fifth spot. I still think that could go to Minari. Visual effects, listen, the short list came out, right? And I saw some movies, well, really a lack of films. Greyhound and The Invisible Man, I was baffled. And you could say, well, The Invisible Man, it wasn't the best. Well, you look at the budget for The Invisible Man, and I would argue that it was very impressive with what they were able to do. And Greyhound actually kind of shocked me because that's a big, grand, epic war film. My heart really wants to see Love and Monsters, and really my heart wants to see Birds of Prey. I thought the VFX in Birds of Prey were really good. Part of me believes that because of, you know, the one and only Ivan with the animals and the gorilla, and it's a Disney movie, part of me thinks that they're going to get that fifth spot. Am I fully confident in that? Not necessarily. The other four I'm much more confident in. I think Mulan gets in. I really do. You look at the visual effects in that movie and really the lack of blockbusters last year. And then Mank, you know, you don't really see Mank as a visual effects movie. We're looking at the more subtle aspects, elements of that film, and it's going to frustrate a lot of people. I understand that, but again, these are predictions, and I just think there's no way Mank does not get in with the kind of movie it is. The Midnight Sky, duh, because it's one of the only big-budgeted sci-fi movies of last year, but the winner is going to be Tenet. It should be Tenet out of all of these choices, but again, you know, my heart really wants to say Love and Monsters. Still a little bit shocked with the snubs. How about sound, aka the Sound of Metal category? Because Sound of Metal is winning it. I was very confident in Mank at first, and then part of me said, oh, well, maybe Tenet, you know, because that movie is like big blockbuster. No, it's going to be Sound of Metal. The first three are getting in, though. News of the World, also because of the type of movie it is, I think gets in there. And then The Midnight Sky, you know, sci-fi film, big budgeted, sound. This is easy. This is an easy category. Let's move on. Editing. This one is like slightly tough when it comes to picking the winner because for a long time I was confident in Mank. I think the editing really makes that movie. My heart says The Father. I don't think The Father wins this. I also believe Nomadland gets in because of, you know, there's editing in there. It's actually beautifully edited. Tenet is taking the fifth spot. I think there's a chance that one could get snubbed for maybe what you would consider more of an Oscar movie. But The Trial of the Chicago 7, I'm very confident at this point in February that it's going to take this award because it's very quick cut, fast-paced. Aaron Sorkin, it's the kind of movie you expect to win editing. Unless, you know, some of the other years we've had some weird movies win editing, but this is what I think. These are predictions. Let's keep going. Cinematography. Yeah, I've got me some First Cow in there. First Cow has been shocking me at every turn. It keeps getting into Critics' Choice, which I voted in. We loved First Cow. So it got in multiple categories that I wasn't expecting. And if it's going to slide its way into anything at the Oscar ceremony with that one nomination, like another A24 film, The Lighthouse, got that one nomination for cinematography, I think First Cow is that film. The other movies in the mix are News of the World, which cinematography, really good. Not one of my personal favorites, but good. Tenet, my heart wants to see Minari again, you know, because Minari has actually been getting a lot of love. But when you look at the Oscars compared to some of these smaller award shows, I just feel like it's that one movie that everyone's going to be rooting for that maybe it misses out on some of these nominations. I feel like it gets the bigger ones, but some of these more technical nominations, Mank, Tenet, Nomadland's your winner. It has been winning. It will continue to win. Those top three are locks. But first cow, that's my surprise. Animated film, I think we're pretty set here. A lot of people would say Over the Moon over Onward, but it doesn't matter. They're both getting in, right? The top four, easy. I think Soul at this point is going to win. We've seen Wolfwalkers take it a few times, but for the most part, it's Soul. The one that everyone's kind of like, is it the Willoughbys? Is it The Croods, A New Age? Part of me was like, oh, well, maybe if Earwig and the Witch, but that movie, obviously. The Croods, A New Age, I think people like that movie, and it's cute. Any other year, probably not, but this year, a lack of movies. Here's the fun one, because the entire reason why I waited on releasing this video was for the WGA nominations to come out for the screenplay categories, and we do have our 5 for adapted screenplay. So here's the 5. Borat subsequent movie film, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, News of the World, One Night in Miami, and The White Tiger on Netflix. A big surprise for me. Now, they did a great job with FYC content. I received quite a bit from them, but a huge surprise of a movie, but it's got a really good screenplay, so I understand why it got in. Now, if you look at what I have One Night in Miami, I have Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and I'm missing the other 3. The films I have instead are Nomadland, The Father, and First Cow. Now, seeing these nominations, I still don't believe Borat's subsequent movie film gets in. The Writers Guild has a tendency to prefer comedies over other things when they deserve it, and I think Borat's got a solid screenplay. I wouldn't quite put it over some of these other ones. And then The White Tiger, kind of coming out of nowhere, haven't really heard any talk of it. I feel like that may die down, but the one I really want to put on here is actually News of the World. And because I'm least confident in First Cow, I'm going to go ahead and throw on News of the World in that 5th spot. This also tells me that there's a better chance for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, so I will probably move that into my, I'd say my 3 spot, moving The Father down 1. The Father getting a lack of love in a lot of different places. We do have to wait on a few more award ceremonies that I feel like will push The Father, because that screenplay is just so good, and I think the film deserves so much. But you know what? Because of that, I'm actually least confident in The Father at this point, so it's going to go into my 5th spot. The other 4, I still think Nomadland, even though the lack of a WGA nom, I still think gets on. We've seen it before. We'll see it again. That film was going to be heavily praised at the Oscars. But this makes me even more confident in my choice of One Night in Miami to win. I just think this film has the best chance, especially after seeing these nominees. Our next group of nominees that dropped were for original screenplay, and here are your WGA nominations. That is Judas and the Black Messiah, Palm Springs, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, Trial of Chicago 7. Again, they really like comedies, and I don't know if the Oscars are as happy about that. Now, would Palm Springs getting a nomination be literally the best thing to happen to me this year? It would be one of the best things. But I'm not going to put it on my list. The other surprise there is Judas and the Black Messiah, which, because it has not been getting the love that I expected, I was very nervous to put it on my list. And here's the order I have. So Trial, Promising Young Woman, and Sound of Metal all made the WGA noms. The 2 that weren't on there are Mank and Minari. Now, I'm not going to put on Palm Springs, even though my heart is really telling me to do that. But Judas and the Black Messiah getting the WGA nom kind of tells me that maybe this film could start to pick up momentum in that category. So at this point, but it's tough, though, because Minari's also getting a lot of love. Do I take Mank off of this list? Because that movie is so beloved by what I believe the voting body will be, it's hard to take Mank off. It's also hard to take Minari off. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to put Judas and the Black Messiah. This could be a last-second surge type of thing. I believe it's a great film. It's a great film that deserves to be there. It's really hard to take off Minari. I will regret this maybe, so let's move on before I start to overthink things. Let's keep going. We have Best Supporting Actress. This has to be one of the toughest categories because there are so many people. I know a lot of people are going to be asking. Helena Zengel, I believe is her name, from News of the World. She's been getting nominations across the board. But finally, Ellen Burstyn, she kind of slipped in there for the Critics' Choice. So did Zengel. Burstyn was for Supporting Actress, and Pieces of a Woman is a film that I believe the performances really make that movie. I really hope the Oscars at least take a further look into her than what I believe they may. She could easily get snubbed. I also think Yoo Jung-yoon from Minari could get snubbed, even though I'm a little bit more confident now. Amanda Seyfried, I had a lot of confidence in her winning. That's wiped off the board, but I do think she gets a nomination. The two that I believe it's going to be between are Olivia Colman and Glenn Close. And at this point, it feels like there's this strange love, and she was great in Hillbilly Elegy. I didn't love the movie, but she was fantastic. I just think a lot of people's mentality is she's overdue, she deserves it, performance was really good, and that's why at this point I have her taking it home slightly over Olivia Colman. Supporting actor, I'm very confident in these choices, actually. Daniel Kaluuya from Judas and the Black Messiah, he's my choice to win. Sacha Baron Cohen, I believe he's getting it at this point, no doubt in my mind. Chadwick Boseman for Da 5 Bloods. I needed a confidence boost with the SAG Awards. We got that, thankfully. Leslie Odom Jr. One Night in Miami. I mean, he has been on our board for so long. He slipped down, but he's still on there. The one I'm least confident in is actually one of my favorites, and that's Paul Raci from Sound of Metal, who finally got it with Critics' Choice. Finally. But, am I still... Does Jared Leto... I mean, we do live in a society. Does Jared Leto come in and take this? That's my big question. Personally, I don't think he should. That doesn't mean he will not. I'm still going to say Paul Raci. I think the Critics' Choice kind of nudged him up a little bit, but did it nudge him above Jared Leto? I don't know. Best Actress, you can lock in the top 4. Now, who's going to win? I mean, you know how many times I've changed this. Right now, it's Frances McDormand, but who knows? I think Carey Mulligan's got a really good shot. Viola Davis, she was the front runner. I don't necessarily know if she is now, but all 3 of those, I think, have the best chance. Vanessa Kirby may even be my personal favorite out of the 4. I think she gets in. It's that 5th spot. That's the big question here. Is it Zendaya? Is it Andra Day? Is it, Amy Adams for Hillbilly Elegy? She got the SAG nom. Andra Day got the Golden Globe and the Critics' Choice nom. Zendaya only got the Critics' Choice nom. So because Andra Day she has 2 so far. I mean, there are a few others that she has as well. And I don't think the United States versus Billie Holiday, I don't have my review out there yet. I don't think it is an Oscar movie, but her performance was spectacular. So I'm going to put her into that 5th spot. I think a lot of critics, didn't love, and a lot of people didn't love Malcolm and Marie. So I do think that takes Zendaya out, but do not be surprised if Amy Adams gets that 5th spot. Best Actor. We're getting close, folks. We have Chadwick Boseman, Anthony Hopkins, Riz Ahmed, Gary Oldman. The first 4 I'm very confident in. It is, do we get a Delroy Lindo for Da 5 Bloods, who has been snubbed almost every step of the way? I mean, the guy is barely getting any recognition, even though 2 months ago it was Delroy Lindo is a lock. He's a lock. But Steven Yeun, I guess Delroy Lindo got Critics' Choice, but so did Steven, as well as the Screen Actors Guild Awards nomination. So it could very possibly go to him. You have Tahar Rahim from The Mauritanian that did get the Golden Globes nomination, but Golden Globes don't look at them as seriously. So I do believe, another category that Minari could get snubbed out of. I think they actually sneaked their way into this one. But you look at the first 4, I'm very confident. Anthony Hopkins could very well beat Chadwick Boseman. But right now, I still have Chadwick Boseman at the top just because the performance is deserving, and I just think it would be a beautiful story. Best Director, the top 3, I'm very confident in. Chloe Zhao for Nomadland. I believe she is our victor, and no one's really going to surpass her. David Fincher, Aaron Sorkin. Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman. Look, she has really just blown me away, and I love the movie, so I'm so happy to see her in there. I think she grabs that 4th spot. The 5th spot is tough, right? It's either going to be Regina King or it's going to be Lee Isaac Chung for Minari. Again, Minari seems to be a movie that people are in love with. Is it too small to get a huge nomination like Best Director? Very possibly. So that could easily go to Regina King. Spike Lee could also slip in. I don't think he gets in. I'm going to go Lee Isaac Chung because Minari is one of those films that I just believe may shock a lot of people. But both of those are very tough to choose between for the 5th spot. I'm so happy for Promising Young Woman. Best Picture. Here's the big one. I'm actually really confident in my top 7. Nomadland, Trial, Mank, Minari, Promising Young Woman, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and, maybe not on that level, but One Night in Miami, I think, has gotten enough love to get into that top 10. It's probably not going to be 10. It's probably going to be 8 or 9, but I'm going to do 10 locks in this video just because, and this has changed a lot since my Best Picture-centric video because, my heart and my soul was wanting Soul to get in, but nothing. Not a nomination, so no shot. I do believe, however, Sound of Metal has a really good shot, and I want Sound of Metal in. But for some reason, everybody's voting for News of the World, and I'm just like, News of the World was good, but okay. I'm going to throw The Father in, even though it has missed out on a few of the awards here and there. I do believe it could get a bump in a few future award ceremonies. Judas and the Black Messiah, has really been heavily snubbed. You look at something like Critics' Choice, part of the reason why I put News of the World in there because it got another one at Critics' Choice, and then Sound of Metal got in over Judas and the Black Messiah at Critics' Choice. Now, is it too fresh? It did get Acting Ensemble. It just got the WGA, which gives me a lot of confidence that it could kind of have a resurgence. And honestly, I should put News of the World above Judas and the Black Messiah because I think News of the World has a better shot. And you could easily see Sound of Metal getting in over Judas and the Black Messiah. Look, my heart and my soul want Sound of Metal in there. It also wants Soul. It also wants another round, but these are films that have just lost a lot of steam. Sound of Metal is really the only one that still has steam, and I really hope slips in. So maybe March my list changes a little bit, but right now News of the World, it's just kind of, it keeps getting in, and I don't know how it doesn't get in. Probably ends up trumping Judas and the Black Messiah if we do get 9. So another one you could mention is Da 5 Bloods. I thought Da 5 Bloods did have a good shot, and then the WGA noms just came out, and we actually got Judas over Da 5 Bloods in that category, and it has been shut out in almost every other ceremony, right? It's not gotten any love. From the Golden Globes to the Critics' Choice. Now, it did get Cast in a Motion Picture at the SAG Awards, right? And it did get Ensemble at Critics' Choice. It's not quite Best Picture, but it could easily slip in. I hope one of those movies gets in over News of the World. I don't hate News of the World, I promise. It's just, And that's it. That's my February update. There's a lot that continues to change, and you guys know it's going to keep changing every month. And as always, I'm not going to be right about everything. It's just not going to happen. But these are really fun videos to make, and I love continuing these updates. Hey, stay tuned to this channel because later on down the line, we're kind of planning it right now. Myself and the Oscar expert, we're kind of trying to figure out a little collab to do for Oscar season. We could make a really fun video, so keep an eye out for that. Also, subscribe to this channel if you're not already. Be sure to drop your thumbs up and leave your comments. What movies will win what? And keep an eye out for my next update. All right, guys. I'll see you soon.